Hi, this is Robert Clinkenbeard with the Commercial Landscaper Podcast. We're going to take 20 minutes of your life to deliver some amazing content from accomplished leaders and business owners to provide you with some value to help you scale your business, become a better leader, and push yourself out of your comfort zone into something which is going to stretch you. We really hope you enjoy these shows, and we really encourage you to like and share with your friends and network, which is only going to help us get a wider audience and improve our industry. I'm super excited to announce that in 2023, we're going to be announcing new partnerships, some digital courses, some rebranding, and your opportunity to be coached by one of our many industry leaders, experts, or coaches. Cheers, everyone. Hi, this is Robert Clinkenbeard with the Commercial Landscapers Podcast. I'm very excited today to be joined by Zack Stratton. Zack is out of Utah. Tell the audience a little bit about you and about your company.
Sure. So the company that I run is Stratton and Bratt, based out of Salt Lake City, Utah, a little south of Salt Lake, about 30 minutes, a place called Pleasant Grove. Mostly we're a construction company, do a lot of maintenance as well in the landscape field. Projects mostly in Utah, also travel quite a bit throughout the Intermountain West, do a fair amount of international work as well, here, there, and everywhere. I really started the company right when I got into college. I've always grown up in the landscape-related fields. My grandpa, my dad were real estate developers involved in the golf course construction space, building golf courses, maintaining them. So I grew up with that kind of background. When I started into college in 2008, I was looking just for a little side money to make sure I could take some girls on dates and stuff on the weekends. And at the time, the golf industry was obviously during the Great Recession, discretionary income was tight for all of us. And so that's when I decided to take kind of my skill set along with my cousin. We started the company just passing out flyers door to door. That's how we got into it. Obviously, Dad let us borrow some trucks, some equipment to get going. Right. And just started partner remodels is kind of how we got started. After a few years, just built it up, and just kind of where we've gone today. Current state for our company, we have about 250 employees. Is kind of what we run. And again, like I said, projects, Utah, mostly Utah based, have 2 branches. One down south, kind of closer to Las Vegas, about an hour north of Las Vegas, still in Utah, location called St. George. And then also up here, and we cover what is Wasatch Front, Wasatch Back, Park City is a big market for us. Snow removal, maintenance, the whole bit. So,
okay, awesome. Now, briefly offline, we talked about, you've experienced some tremendous growth the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And one of your challenges is just trying to figure out, the different phases of growth, trying to build in some leaders. Talk to me about, your thoughts around, why you think you need that. What's the outcome that you're looking for?
For sure. Kind of more color on that. When the company got to about $7 million in top line revenue, this was maybe about 6 years ago. I was looking around, I was coming to realize really quickly that my role and responsibilities were turning to be more business oriented rather than boots on the ground. My natural tendency and what I've grown up has always been lead the charge. That's kind of what I like to do. But as you start to grow and scale and need to be more involved with banking, bonding, insurance, and so forth, you have to get a fair level of business acumen to be able to have intelligent conversations with those partners. So at that time, I decided I needed to go back to school. I got my master's. I graduated my undergrad in landscape management from BYU. Amazing program there. But I just felt like I needed to have a little more polishing on the business skills. So I got my master's in business, my MBA. But that happened, and we've just continued to grow. Our goal is to grow the company quite significant, be a really significant regional player over the next 5 to 10 years. And as you grow, there's really some important aspects of the company and a lot of more tender care and watching that I came to realize, specifically in the finance department, making sure that we have a very solid finance. So recently we able to go hire away a director of finance from a big international conglomerate based out of Park City. He's joined the team. It's been huge. Really beefing up our sales process, our sales team. Got a great director of sales on board, and then also just the HR department. So that's been one of our big focuses over the last couple of years, and has been really spurred our growth, is kind of what we call the executive team, making sure our executive team is set and roles and responsibilities are clearly defined. And doing that has really helped us to be able to manage everything efficiently and manage all of this growth for sure.
No, that's awesome. I mean, it sounds as though you brought some really key players there just to help with that next phase.
Yeah.
How, I mean, obviously choosing somebody is tough enough in itself, especially in this market where it's been challenging labor market. But how important is it to you to make sure they also fit the culture of your company?
I think that's really important. When I was starting the company, I remember, this was probably 5-6 years ago. I was sitting there and we were making out payroll and stuff. I was going through and I was amazed at how many of the guys I was giving paychecks to were just really headaches. That just really were the company outgrew their skill set, or they didn't want to grow, or probably a combination of the two of them. And as you go through and you bring on people, one of the big things is do they have the aptitude? We really focus on, do they have the aptitude? Do they have the intelligence to do it? And then also, do they want to do it? And then do they have the grit? Do they have the energy to keep up with us? We're a fairly high-paced, fast-paced organization, and change is inevitable. And sometimes people struggle with that. And so in bringing in this executive team and really developing our executive team, it's just being able to understand that. And one of the things that we found is bringing people outside the industry who have seen big numbers, who have seen big swings, who are not scared of seeing huge, both ways, right? Big losses, big profits, all that. And they bring a lot of just level-headedness to it. And they bring a lot of there's a lot to be learned from people that come from outside the industry, for sure. So.
No, and it's interesting you say that, because I have a lot of debates with people, and some owners are so hell-bent on have that industry experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I have the totally opposite view where, yeah, it's nice to have that experience, but if you've got so many other people in the company that have that experience, then why not bring somebody in that's got that expertise in that specific expertise you're looking for, whether it be HR or finance, and use just some of that, insight and working in other industries to your industry. Yeah. So I'm a big fan of that. So glad
for sure.
Think that way. So how does it look like when you start looking for those people? I mean, do you do your own advertising? Do you do recruitment companies, combination?
That's a great question. I'm a huge fan of recruiters. They're expensive. Obviously, they charge a hefty fee. But when you're getting these really key people, I personally don't have a ton of experience hiring a CFO. I say this often. If I'm hiring a field manager, foreman, I basically, as they walk into the room, I can basically tell if they have it or if they don't, just how they walk, talk, because we've hired, us in the industry, we've hired so many of them over the years. But as you get to this executive level, what a director of HR looks like, what are the roles and responsibilities, I don't have a lot of context to hiring someone. Accounting, obviously I have my MBA background, so I can talk the talk and lingo and stuff, but I don't necessarily know, I don't hire those every single day. So with that being said, we rely heavily on recruiters. We rely heavily on other kind of industry, not necessarily industry, but other trade partners, our bonding company, talking with our banking, asking who would you suggest, who would be good for us, people that are kind of familiar with our company, our culture. And that's really helped us in a lot of ways, make sure that, it's been a good fit for us. So
yeah, makes sense. Now, once you bring those people in, I find a lot of people who've been in, got great experience, have never really been trained in leadership, never really been given that leadership development. So what are some of the things that you're doing to help, I don't know, just keep developing them as a leader in your company?
Well, that's a great question. One of the things we really do is we have weekly executive meetings where we can get alignment. I think that as long as there's alignment from top level, the ownership group with the executive team, and making sure that everyone is kind of following in what we're trying to accomplish, have alignment in goals and so forth, it's really helpful. The other thing too is you really need to spend a lot of time with these people and getting them caught up to speed and helping them think through how you process problem situations that arise. How do you look at specific situations? If a customer's upset or a vendor's upset or whatever it is, how do you walk through that? How do you look at that? And that can really help them kind of get them caught up to speed and trained on how to lead. Other thing too is you really help them out with when there's employee conflict when you start out for this a little bit. How do we handle employee conflict? How do we resolve all that? I think that's one thing that bringing someone in, hiring them, great. They have all the experience in the world, all the background in the world, but it really is a 6 to 8 month process. And I know that sounds really long, but when we brought in our new CFO, the first 90 days, I specifically said to him, okay, listen, I'm not expecting much out of you for 90 days other than just observe, see, get current state on all the issues. And then right about the 90-day mark is when you start seeing a lot of these things starting built, and then he can take it off from there. But a lot of times these executive people or this leadership team is brought in companies, and I see them that they want them to fix all the problems day one. Well, the problems weren't created overnight, nor are they going to get fixed overnight. And so you have to have patience and help lead them through and training to make sure that they understand and fix it in a way that's appropriate and right. So
yeah, no, I agree 100%. I feel that first 90 days is crucial for not only companies but also the success of that employee.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a good onboarding program, make sure they're set up for success, and then just that constant observing. One of the things you talked about when you're building your team, I mean, especially if you have your MBA, I mean, how do things like strategic planning, coming up the roadmap, things like rocks, how do those come into play amongst your team to help that alignment?
I think that the biggest thing is, one of the traps I fell into is not having appropriate a dialogue with the team when you're setting these rocks, setting the quarterly goals, yearly goals. That's something I've worked really hard on the last year, making sure that we all are aligned. Just because it's my goal and what I see isn't necessarily, you get these people that are extremely capable and very, very hard charging. They come out with a different angle. Say, hey, I think that out of the 5 issues we need to tackle, 1, 2, and 3 are more important than 4 and 5. And so making sure that you're sitting down, spending time with them and getting alignment. And then really just once it's done, letting them run with it and own it. People that I found that really good leaders of your company and executives, they don't really want to be managed heavily, nor do they really need it. They're capable, competent people, and you just kind of let them, after you go through the onboarding process, the training, the first 90 days, just really letting them just go with it, and obviously setting appropriate guide rails and stuff that are help you feel comfortable. But if you give them a task or a rock or whatever, they're likely to do it if you don't, asking for a update every 6 hours.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And that obviously, I'm sure that probably helps you out in terms of it's probably made your life a little bit easier going. Now you have some competent people in place. They'll have their goals ahead of them. So what does your life look like now with these people in place?
I think what it's done for me personally, it's been one of the challenges is when you're a very rapidly growing company. I say this often. I was here when we earned the first dollar to where we are today. So I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. I've seen it all in terms of that way. But what it enables me is to focus on things that are more in my wheelhouse. I can sit and create forecasts and budgets and pro formas. I can do that. I have that skill set, but that's not where I shine. My personal skill set is more in front of the client, negotiation, making sure that the pipeline is full, and then also kind of setting the tone for the field, making sure they understand. that. So what it does is there's mission critical tasks that have to be done because the formulas, the pro formas, the spreadsheets, they have to be done. The KPIs have to be tracked, but enabling someone else who is, that's their skill set and their wheelhouse handle that has been just hugely beneficial. You know, there's only 24 hours in the day. You know, we all got into this business not necessarily to grind and to kill ourselves, but sometimes that's what it is. It can become that. So getting people that you can turn off tasks to them, and they do it in a very professional way. It's so helpful to your personal life, work-life balance, and so forth.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. How do your, I suppose, some of your older, tenured, existing employees feel about people coming into the company that maybe don't have that experience, and how do you handle that type of I don't know what the right word is, whether it's resentment, whether there's some conflict there?
That's a great question, and it's something that I think, I'm not sure if it's necessarily resentment, maybe just a little of, I don't know if it's jealousy. I won't call it jealousy because it's not necessarily that, but you know, the questions like why wasn't I up for that promotion? Why wasn't I given that? I think that one of the keys is just helping them catch the vision of where we are going, and understanding the important role that they play in that. One of the things is giving people. I think that a lot of times, what I've fallen into this many times is where I've promoted people to incompetence, and it's been a very bad situation for them and for me as well, where, you know, someone who is not, they're an amazing, I'll just call it project manager, account manager, right? They're doing amazing at that. That's awesome. But are they a branch manager? Are they are they a department head? Maybe not. Because the skill sets to be a very good account manager aren't necessarily exactly said to be a efficient branch manager. That's a different skill set. And helping the people realize that they have a place here, they have a path here, they have earning potential growth, they have all this growth and opportunity ahead of them is really key. And just helping them understand that you know, you helped us get here. Also, sometimes I'll be honest with you. So I was in one of our peer groups, and I had one of my really trusted advisors in my peer group say, hey, you know, as your company grows, sometimes the reality is that the people who help you get to where you aren't going to help you get to there. And it's really hard for them. And it's hard for us because, I mean, good grief. I just lost my number one foreman. He was my very first foreman, but the company just outgrew him. He didn't feel comfortable. He wasn't comfortable with the guardrails we were putting in place and the processes and the systems. He wanted to kind of just do it. But once you do size and scale, you can't really do that anymore. So
100%. No, I agree with you 100%. One of the ways to help with that, I suppose, understanding or helping people understand where their place is in the company or where they can go to is through regular employee reviews, quarterly, you know, every 6 months or so. How do you feel as though you do with that process? Just again,
I think that, you know, we definitely have an employee review process. Obviously that's one of the things that once you get into the heat of the battle, a 90-day review all of a sudden turns into a 180-day review, right? I think that's one of the first things, but I'm really a huge proponent of that because especially with the younger generation that's coming up, and they really want more feedback than traditionally you want. If you have someone who's been an industry veteran and stuff, they're totally fine with a 1 year, you know, every spring, let's sit down, talk salary, talk wage, talk how it went. But these younger talented people, they really want more feedback. They want quicker turns on their understanding. And so having a really solid employee review process system is really, really key to helping you make sure that there's organizational alignment throughout the whole company.
Right. Cool. Two final questions for you, Zach. For those listeners who maybe have that $5-10 million business, and you looking back at your journey, what would be the best piece of advice that you would give those younger up and coming owners? That's
a great question. Once you get to the $5 to $10 million mark, one thing I have a really good friend. I have a really good family friend. They own one of the largest road construction companies in Utah. Do about billion to $1.5 billion in revenue a year. Utah, Idaho, Nevada, they down into Vegas. I was sitting there one day, we were on the ski lift, and I was sitting talking to them, and I came to realize that the project managers we hire are basically from the same pool. The foremen are basically from the same pool. What was the difference between me and them? Obviously they've been in business for 100 years, right? So that helps. But one of the things I realized as I was sitting with, with their two of their executive team was their CFO, their finance team. That is one of the big differences, is because once you get into that size, if you want to go to the next level, a deep understanding of your financial picture is really key. And having a true thought partner, that can help talk you through, that can oversee, that understands the industry, has some operational background. That is one of the biggest keys. And so looking back, that is one of the areas of the business. Everyone focuses on operations, and that's really important in sales as well. But once you get into that realm, you really have to have a solid financial CFO, director of finance role. And frankly, you're going to pay them, if the good ones know what they're worth, and they're going to ask for a lot of money. It's going to be shocking. But what I've learned is you pay it, you get someone who you feel comfortable with, and it is just amazing what they can do. It helps organize the data, give you clarity into what's going on. So,
okay, awesome. Final question. If anybody wanted to reach out to you just to get some more insight into you, to your company, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Best way to connect with you is through email. Email is Zack, Z-A-C-K, Zack with a K, at strattonandbratt.com. I love connecting with people in the industry, kind of, chit-chatting what they have going on. I think there's one of the things that really attracts me about the green industry is that because we generally have to deal with clients that quite often, it leads to a lot of just good people that are good, just good people, good to chat with, good to be a good thought partner with. So that's the best way to get a hold of me.
Okay, awesome. Zack, really appreciated our time today. Thanks for your insights. Always good to talk to you. And
you as well.
Time. Okay, thank you, Zack. Take care.
Thanks, Robert.
Hopefully that was pure, dead brilliant for you today, and you got some great takeaways for your business or your leadership role. This is Robert Clinkenbeard, and we'd love to get you and your friends to join us in our future journey. So please subscribe through the various podcast channels, or visit thecommerciallandscaper.com or brucewilsoncompany.com and check out some more information there. Anyway, hopefully you all have a pure, dead, brilliant day. Cheers, everyone.